So, maybe first I can a little bit introduce what is the building or what is the concept. Or do you want to keep the sound on or not? Yeah. Okay, it will be slightly interrupted then. So this used to be a whole area used to be one of the fifth, no, actually like third biggest Prague alcohol distillery in the beginning of the century, last century, 19th century. And the last drop of the alcohol was distilled here in 95. And then the whole area, was rather, say, brownfield. It was falling apart. And about 5 or 6 years ago, a friend of mine, whose name is Marcel Soural, bought it with his company, which is called Trigema. It's one of the biggest Prague developers, and decided to use it as a brownfield, so do some apartments or apartment buildings. And this building, which is completely falling apart, there were no roof, no floors, nothing. It was really like the walls, the outside walls. And it actually used to be the actual distillery place where the distillation colonna was installed. So because this was preserved as the heritage, as the industrial heritage, we had to reconstruct it in the original style. But of course, everything is new, as you can see. And then during the work on the project, which is called Lihovar, we begin to think about what to do, how to use this building. And then we sort of decided, okay, let's make it like public, open. And suddenly it was, okay, what are we gonna do? And then somebody said, okay, perfect. So why don't we do your museum here? I was like, oh, this is like crazy idea. And then we were like, sort of like, okay, well, so I thought, okay, maybe I can clean up my storage and put all the stuff which, like my completely full studio where I could barely walk through because all the sculptures and uninstalled stuff was there. So I decided, okay, perfect, let's do it. So that's what behind the concept why we actually here. Okay, it's the fourth floor. This installation consists of 4 big Beretta guns, which I installed in, I think, 92. They were also installed in World Trade Center in 92 in New York, and then they would travel around the world a bit. And it's about my a little bit fascination about the technique and the soul of the guns. I have like very ambivalent relationship with the guns, so it's not that I would be obsessed by guns, but it's weird how the guns are actually beautifully shaped in terms of design, and that's why I pick up Italian Beretta. So if you look at the Italian products, they're usually very nice, not always working perfectly, but design is always super nice. And what I was a bit fascinated is that somebody was an engineer, obviously was a mechanical engineer, was shaping it, and they communicating with each other, shaping or making the shape nice looking, even it is primarily used for shooting to somebody's head. So it's this is dialogue between those fields or feelings about the guns. So that's why I sort of like use the civil sounds instead of shooting. And as I said, the installation is very old. On the walls, you can see drawings which I was doing during my probably childhood, or I have like a pile of drawings, obviously, as uh, all artists has. Some of them burn it, making cigarettes. Some of them, and I just by chance I save them. So some of them are designs of an existing pieces. Some of them are sort of more or less surrealistic visions. Usually when I get home from the bar in the 90s, 80s. And then those transparent pieces are part of the series, which is called, it's actually not called anyhow, it's called Guns. But especially this one, if you point the camera in it, you can see that the colors are shaped in American flag. So it's sort of, not only the guns in American culture. So that's about the guns, and also those guns are also a part of the way when we going through the so they're called I know they're called X-ray, sorry, X-ray series, and I think that series came up through the moment when we trying to sneak something in the airport to the board of the plane, and me as a pilot, I have this like crazy situation when I'm going to my plane in the airport and I'm searched like I'm trying to kill somebody. So usually it ends up like, okay, whatever. And if I smuggled a knife into the plane and then I kill myself as the pilot, what's gonna happen? Kind of funny situation. But so those pieces are about getting the stuff on board as the cabin luggage to the plane. So questions. Hey guys, I'm not really a speaker. Well, violence in a way, it's it's difficult because if you look at the nature, is it violence that some animals are killing some other animals because they just want to eat it, and is it violence or not? It's violence, if the antelope is being eaten by the tiger, is it violence or not? I'm asking, I'm asking myself. So if it's not violence, we might do with our atavism the same, we're just eating weaker enemies or whatever. But I don't shy, ask, I'm as I said, I studied electronics in my high school, and so my graduation was electronic, and I'm building my own computers. So if I'm like asked in a different country than here, where everybody recognize me, I'm usually trying to say, well, whatever, I'm pilot and technician, so trying to avoid saying that I'm artist. So let's go downstairs, like one floor down. The scaffolding is real scaffolding. And I will have to climb on it tomorrow to install another piece, which is called a thief. And the thief is a sculpture of the thief, which is stuck there, and he goes like back and forth through, all the line. So here I have more things. Towards the east, ask me why.
Why is it towards the east?
Russian fuckers. Okay. Towards the east, it's signed to the Putin. Then there are the babies on the tower. They're pretty tiny, like here. Apartment buildings. That's the first one, which I also co-designed. And then this one is the meat factory, where you can see those two cars hanging on the facade. The meat factory is my project. And excuse me for that, but it was meant to be for an artist. A little bit regret that I did anything for an artist, but well, whatever. I was young and enthusiastic. So it's the facility which I run as the founder and the head of the board. And we have big meat factory, yeah. So we have like big music hall, theater hall, 2 or 3 gallery spaces, and studios for international artists who work and live there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. This one is called a Thinker, and it's the half size of the original piece, which is installed in St. Moritz in Switzerland, in the middle of the school square, and it's the oldest Swiss school called Lyceum Alpinum. So I think that Kim Il-sen or Kim Il-sen actually went there. Okay, no question here. It's cold, so let's go inside. So this floor I call the beginning of the end of the world. Or
Here's the beginning.
that's the end of the world. I see that corner. This one is the beginning, kind of, and it's called by the famous Corbett painting, the origin of the world. So this is like or I call it like origin or the beginning of the origin of the world, whatever, like, you can pick whatever combination. So, and this one she actually moves, or it actually moves, so it breathes for the mechanics. And it's more or less about, like, how we look at the shapes which half of us has, and the other half has the other, the balls, like this one. And so it's more or less about kind of like how we looking at the shapes. And so this is the original. Then you have sort of like a more or less abstract shape of it, plus. So this is the submarine, obviously, which also, the hydrodynamic shape might resemble something else. And yeah, you never know. And this one was more or less an experiment, and it's sort of it's the same technique as the X-ray, and it's more or less the abstract piece about how I felt before I actually get replicated, because I finally get replicated. And this is the Ferrari, exactly. So you can see, some similarities between the shapes, and that's that's the section number 28. The 28, well, whatever. I just, randomly picked 28. Yeah, but I think that there are now certified 74 different sex types. So this is my vision of one of those 28. Yeah. But you never know. I mean, thanks God, I know what I have at home, and my wife is perfectly, like, okay. But and the funny thing about this piece is that there were a lot of journalists and photographers while they were taking pictures of the museum, and they said, well, we cannot take picture of this. And I said, like, why? Because it's a
Too much.
it's usually it's like too much. They will never reproduce that. Why? They were like, well, we don't know, but they won't. It will never be published. I said, like, why it cannot be published? Because it cannot be published. So it's like really bizarre. Whatever. That's the thing. This floor I call faces, because it's Like I call myself figurative. If I would anyhow describe myself, I would probably say that I'm figurative sculpture. So it's not. It's just like one part, which is about faces and portraits. Uh, the four big ones, the scientists, are from the series Scientists. Uh, Two more are missing. One is Nikola Tesla and Stephen Hawking. And I randomly picked them up because I like, what they were doing, or whatever. But I think that our world is somehow based on these songs. Those two, and they're actually pretty old. But
You did this way long time
yeah, I
ago.
did it like 7 years ago, long time ago. And the second one is you probably will find out that it's Werner von Braun. And that's the guy who designed, or we can probably say that he get the people on the moon believe that people were actually on the moon. They were there. So he's the guy who gets Americans to the moon. But their proposals, they're kind of like the dark sides because Werner von Braun was the leading engineer in the V1 V2 German rockets being used in the Second World War against the Allies. And obviously America. So both guys did fantastic things in the physics. They completely moved our human society further in a way, but also we still don't know if this Russian asshole would, push the button and blow the nukes. So the fascinating point for me is that they were both working for regimes, obviously, because even Robert Oppenheimer would never had probably a chance to build an atomic bomb without the support of the military, reason of the military. And same with von Braun. So he was like a rocket engineer, and he didn't really care about who he worked for. He was like it's not Hitler, but the only reason why he was doing it was that he wanted to get to the space, nothing else. He didn't give a shit about it, which is interesting. Uh, so it's like in a way very fascinating for me that I can imagine that Robert Oppenheimer was like super high when he actually wrote the atom. That would have to be a moment of destroying the matter. And same thing with from Brown. So the fascinating thing about those guys is that they were working on something very deadly, but with the aim to actually do something unbelievable. That's good. Why I picked them. I mean, obviously Einstein was behind as the founder. There is actually a series of my favorite film directors. Almodovar, Wim Wenders, and Jim Jarmusch.
Did you ever ride on the submarine? Like get up there like a
But
rodeo, like in Texas? Sorry.
well, you can try. If
No,
you really
it's okay.
want,
I'm
you
good.
know,
I'm
it's
good.
only 15 meters down there.
No, no
so
thanks.
no.
Jesus. What the fuck?
You're not the one when you're working from this different culture or this installation and so on. So I want to ask you, how do you find people to work with?
it's the worst part of the work. Find somebody as the collaborator. But I did a lot of the things, you know, with my hands only. So it was a lot. So it's not that, you know. I mean, of course, I have collaborators, obviously, and especially now, like in this moment, there will be probably 50 people working on several of my sculptures around the whole country. But I'm using it as the, you know, as the production. It's like, you know, if you look at the finger or the hand, of course, it was, you know, made by metal show. It's a special section which was never exhibited or not too much exhibited. That's the part which is called design or exhibition of some of my design and architecture and applied art which I did. You can see the red speakers plus a few architectural designs, with some of them have been realized, some of them are going to be realized, but some graphic design. Each one weighs about 350 kilograms, so 700 pounds.
That's insane.
So yes, of course, you know, just take it, you know.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Is that segment right over there with an astronaut inside it?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
This one is probably kind of like a toy store, but those pieces, you know, the kids, it's called a kit. We not sure if you guys familiar with that, but we here in the Ost block, because we didn't have the models of like nice, beautiful Formula One and other racing cars. We had only the assembly kit. So there's like a plastic, and you can snap it off, and then assemble it by yourself. And in 92, I came up with the idea that you can actually have sculptures. And sculpture. There's a sculpture, you can assemble it, and being a kind of an artist by yourself, or there's more or less a joke about how can you be an artist. And I did a series of those 6 plus the 7 was made. That is the auto portrait, and it was made for the Biennial of Art in Sao Paulo.
Oh, wow.
1 year later. But the basic series are those artists, Jesus Christ, creator, rock star, the great moment underneath. And about 10 years, more, 15 years later, I used the same structure for a piece which is called Entropa. And you can see the model here. Please do not invite.
Yeah, this was controversial. You got in trouble with all kinds of things.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, a little bit trouble because all European presidents like to film it.
Holy shit.
But it was fun. On the end, it was fun, and we just most of the things on the map of the Europe were moving, and it exists. You can see it in Pilsner. It exists in the radio type or scale. It's like 16 meters and 15 meters. That's pretty big. And the football player is actually Italian. So there were several of them, and I did not know how many football players are actually on the field. So I did one more. So this is the one. Well, the kid, this one is it's one of the series called home a little home catastrophe. The bus is also a model of the existing piece, which was installed during the bring the Olympic Games. Well, anticipate no. In a way, of course, yes. I don't say that we were not anticipating anything, but being through, I expected a completely different reaction than what happened. Like really, I we did not expect that there would be any reaction from Bulgaria, but we much more expected, from like many people. So I expected much higher reaction from Italians, uh, than Sweden, because the GCAS, so it looks like obvious that it's about like money being paid to politicians. Germany, because Germany, the shape of the German highways was the Slavic map. So it was like completely like different way what I expected actually.
As a Bulgarian, my mom told me about.
As Bulgarian, so you know about it. Okay. So,
Are you
so
from Varna?
Bulgarian, I was like really shocked with the reaction of the Bulgarian. I was like, they were about to kill me. And then when it was installed in Brussels, it had to be covered by obviously black flag. So yes, the anticipation was there, but not to the one which in 88, they stopped the Bolsheviks, the communists stopped my passport, so I could not travel. And then, no, the tank was painted in 91, so it was after the end of the communism. But the communists stopped my passport, so I know that I have no chance to travel, and I would be drafted to the army. So I decided to emigrate unless I can stay in the school, because I was already on the university. And then the end of the communism came, so it was 89. But I was flying on hang glider, so I was sure that I run away, I would fly away. So that was the only way. No, not Dresden. No, Austria. People were actually running to Austria, and it was the easiest way.
It's hard to imagine that today.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, go to, well, especially now, yeah. Go to Berlin to see the Museum of Checkpoint Charlie, and you see the stories of people running out from the East Bloc, being killed, and the way they were like smuggled in the cars, like crazy. Really hard to imagine. So that's about the Trabe. And then there is the little tiny show of 350 sculptures. It's bronze on a marble, and you have to crawl to see it. Kind of funny story how the series happened, because I forget that I have a show in one Czech city in 91, which I promised, and then I had a call, and the guy who was actually the mayor of the city called me and saying like, okay, everybody's looking forward to see you in the show. And I was like, show what? and then he sort of explained me that I have a show in 3 weeks. So I had to fill like 2 huge rooms. So I just did like tiny things. Yes. Exactly. Okay, well, 1 floor down.
You won't get Wi-Fi there, so
I'm not sure. Maybe yes.
you can try.
Okay, we can try. It's a bit noisy then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit noisy, and it's called freedom. So well, maybe it's better if you enjoy it by yourself. It's like it's better to be there enjoying the private. Yeah, it's kind of intimate. So, just. Okay, good. Survived. Any casualties down there? No, nothing. Yeah,
If you want to go,